Staff of the Pantine Psychiatric Hospital have intensified their industrial action with a demonstration this morning to press home their demands. Since Monday, workers at the mental health facility have been on a sit-down strike to demand an action from government to halt encroachment on the hospital lands, which they claim is posing security threats to both patients and staff. So what exactly is the nature of the land being encroached upon? Joy News' Maxwell Agbagba has more.
We are on one of the encroached portions of the land that we are talking about. So this parcel of land is actually being developed right now, and it's very close to the mortuary that we have here. So when the private developer finishes with the construction of the structure that will be on this land, that building would definitely share walls with the Pantine mortuary, and this is one of the things, is among some of the things the workers are actually kicking against, looking at the health implications and some of the disadvantages that it would cause to the Pantine hospital. I must say that even as we stand on these encroached, land, we can hear screams of Choboy, from the Pantine hospital itself. And now in some few minutes, when we finish with this, we'll be rushing there to see exactly what is happening there on the ground, on the hospital ground itself. But this is the frontage of the Pantine hospital. Well, among some of the things that authorities here are kicking against the forceful, takeover of their lands. In fact, sometime on Monday when we came here, the authorities here told us that they have initiated processes to acquire this land. They are saying that going forward, Ghana is looking at making Pantine Hospital the headquarters, or the so-called headquarters of mental health care delivery in Ghana. And it's important for us to save this land for the construction that would happen after that process takes off. They are saying that it will be cheaper for us now to save this lands, and then compensate the private developers. They are saying that it would cost us more should we wait for these private developers to develop this land before we try taking it away from them. In the year 2009, one of the encroached lands that we were talking about, a private developer actually took the matter to court, and then the court actually ruled in favor of the private developer. I engaged Dr. Kukiosei the other time, that was on Monday, and he stated that they believe that the court actually erred in that judgment that they gave in the year 2009. So what they are doing essentially is to press on government to take over these lands from the private developers, both the legitimate ones belonging to the Pantine Hospital and the ones which really does not belong to them but supposed to be a buffer zone for the hospital. So two things: they're asking government to take over these lands and possibly compensate those private developers so that they can move away from this land, because they believe that for a facility like the Pantine Hospital, the frontage needs to be clear, and then the parts of the land too that really do not belong to these private developers should be taken away from them.
Now, Maxwell later joined the demonstrators this morning as they chanted and marched along the Adenta-Ebri Highway to drum home their demands.
I can tell you that the nurses have started their demonstration, and they are walking all the way to Adenta, we are told. So that is currently happening, and they are doing that with security being provided by the Ghana Police Service. I earlier saw about 3 police patrol vehicles providing security for the demonstrators. So they are walking to Adenta right now. A lot of them holding placards, indicating or registering their displeasure about the encroachment, going on their lands. Here at the outpatient department, when we came here about 30 minutes ago, patients and their relatives who had reported here had to leave because there was nobody to attend, to them. Even what we have more or less here, it's more or less like the skeleton staff, and they were not really responding to the patients. But just some few minutes ago, I think about 10 minutes ago, we had the director and then the deputy director come in here to see for themselves exactly, what is happening. So when they came, they spoke to what I can best describe as the skeleton staff, and they are currently, being considerate and heeding to the plea of some of these relatives that I'm talking about. So some of them are actually attending to them, but they tell us that it's not even that. It's not everybody that they're going to attend to at this point. Well, I'm currently here at the outpatient department. That's the psycho outpatient department where mentally unstable, patients would first report before they are put, in their various wards. We are told that hundreds of people report here daily to take their medication. Some of them came here, and because the gates were locked, they were compelled to leave. I spoke to a man who came all the way from Swede Road to this place. He didn't get the medication for his son. He had to leave, worriedly. There was another man I also spoke to who tells me that he came to get some medication for his wife. He tells me that he has been compelled, to go and get it over the counter, and he'll be doing that. But those who were patient and then stood here, for let's say for an hour or two, were lucky when the director himself, Dr. Frank Baining, walked in here and then spoke to the skeleton staff to attend to them. So that is happening currently. But even that, the queue that is here is not really moving fast, and a lot of them are still, very worried. But just for my cameraman to give you a proper view of what is happening on the ground right now, that is the outpatient department. It is very empty. Those you can see there, about 5 people standing there, were those who had the patience and to wait, and they were lucky when the director came and then he spoke to the staff that has been left behind. They are not demonstrating, so they are lucky. When the director spoke to the staff, they are now attending to them. So that is the other part of the outpatient department. Now this is the second part also. That place is completely empty. You can just see about 3 people. Well, the man you're seeing in your shot right now came here about an hour or so ago, and he was lucky to meet the director, and now he's been made to see a doctor, and they've written some medication for him. So even though that demonstration is really going on, all the nurses are not around. The skeleton staff here are making sure they take care of emergency cases, and that was after the director himself, Dr. Frank Baining, pleaded that they do that. Well, earlier I had interaction with the spokesperson for the staff here, and he tells me that yes, they're expecting the Minister of Health, and that would happen after the demonstration. So we are all hoping that by 11 a.m. or 12 p.m. the minister will be here on the ground, and we are told that he will be, addressing the staff when they come back, from that demonstration. So that would happen after they've returned, from the demonstration.
We'll be going back to Maxwell Agbagba during the bulletin for the latest on what's happening in Pantai. But in the meantime, the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, is urging governments to learn lessons from the numerous pro-poor social interventions it has implemented over the years and their aftermath as it prepares to roll out the free senior high school program in September. Speaking on the sidelines of the Regional Delegates Conference of the Ghana National Association of Teachers in Cape Coast, General Secretary of NAT David Oforia-Champong advised governments to tread cautiously so that the quality of education in the senior high schools is not compromised. Richard Kojonyako has more.
The free senior high school policy will be rolled out by government come September this year. And already many stakeholders, even though they agree it is a good policy, want government to proceed with caution. The Ghana National Association of Teachers at their regional delegate conference that took place in Cape Coast indicated that the association was positioning itself to help make the program a success. Through the implementation of the policy, NAT hopes to transform the Ghanaian society through quality education. Speaking on the sidelines of the delegate conference, General Secretary of NAT, David Oforia-Champong, asked government to reflect on all the social intervention policies it has implemented before in order to avoid mistakes of the past.
The state holds the purse. They have looked through the purse and they have found out that there's enough money to carry on their project. So I'm not going to doubt them. Let us roll it over and see how it goes. If as we go, we begin to experience challenges, then we can address them. I've traveled across the country and I've seen communities where we shouldn't have given them school feeding program. Yet they're having school feeding program. Are you getting it? It is a good initiative. Let us depoliticize it and structure it as a national developmental agenda. Then all of us will buy into it and make sure that it succeeds. This present government has a lot of history to learn from. They started a school feeding program. It got to a point, it got out of hands. Now, luckily, they are back. What have they learned that went wrong last time? And what strategies are in place to correct the mistakes of the past. Yeah, there are still critical issues because it all has to do with issues of resources, resource allocation. Is it adequate? Does it cut across the whole country? That also talks about the fact that if the state is interested in ensuring that standards are high, then resources ought to be provided. Providing resources for education officers, for them to be able to go around and supervise our teachers, providing logistics, providing incentives to the teachers in the communities. These are all critical issues. That's why we're saying that even though we see ourselves as key in dispensing education, we cannot do so without the active participation of the stakeholders.
Regional Secretary of the Association, William Bodu Abedi, says NAT is working on transforming the face of the teaching profession to give teachers better conditions of service. He wants teachers to exhibit utmost professionalism in their respective schools to improve the quality and standards in the education sector.
Our call for this year has been that we first need to transform ourselves. If you're saying transforming ourselves, we need to change our attitude towards work, our behaviors. We lead as role models, so that within the 1 year we can transform, we can change our attitude, our professionalism and everything, so that we can take the key role that has been bestowed on us as key stakeholders in education delivery. Impact. The impact we actually want to create is that we are moving to the various schools to tell them what they are supposed to do, have interaction with them, their needs and aspirations, so that all of us together, the community at large, will all come together to build a very good educational system so that we can take lead in the transformation agenda. Because without the goal 4, none of the 17 goals could be achieved. Maternity leave, Ghana has not even ratified the ILO convention. So we are calling on government to ratify the ILO convention so that our female teachers can enjoy more than the 6 weeks we are giving them. So we actually need to go through the channels and then make our issues known, not to shout.
Richard Kwejo-Nyakon, Joy News, Cape Coast.
Now, Ghana stands the risk of losing $400 million in aid and investments from the United States. This will happen if the nation is placed on the Tier 3 watch list of nations on the U.S. State Department's Trafficking in Persons report. We've been put on the Tier 2 watch list for 2 consecutive years, having appeared once again in the 2017 report. Head of Migration Information Bureau as the Ghana Immigration Service Chief Superintendent Mark Asamoah-Boakye said on Newsdesk today, Ghana was placed on the list because we failed to meet some basic requirements.
It's quite alarming, and then there should be a national response, a quick national response to these menaces. Other than that, it will get out of hand. Just as your introduction was, the U.S. Department of State has also released the 2017 Trafficking in Persons report, and in Ghana is still on a Tier 2 watch list. No country has been on Tier 2 watch list for 3 consecutive years.
What does this mean, to be on a Tier 2 watch list?
It means that Ghana doesn't meet the minimum standards for the elimination of trafficking, and that if you remain on Tier 2 watch list for 2 consecutive years, you are automatically downgraded into Tier 3. That means that you have some trade and grants cuts from in the international communities, especially the U.S. So, I mean, Ghana was going to lose around $400 million in the U.S. Yes.
What are some of these minimum requirements that would take us out of the Tier 2 watch list?
Well, we need to build the capacities of all the state agencies that deal with trafficking.
He said what will be needed immediately to kickstart the efforts to end trafficking will be the implementation of strong policies.
Policy is quite important. Just as I informed you, there has been a ban on direct-to-home recruitment into the Gulf regions, right? It couldn't have been done by immigration as an institution. It's a government policy. So once government does that, and then the labor law or the Labor Act also provides that if there is going to be an international recruitment, right, there should be a bilateral or a memorandum of understanding signed by the government of Ghana and the other country, right? As we speak now, the only one I can remember is Ghana and the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, right? It presupposes that all those people who are engaged in the recruitment of these females and other people to the Gulf regions are doing something illegal. What do we need to do? We cannot change it. It's for us to propose to government that this is what is happening. Let us fine-tune this particular movement.
Still to come, we'll be taking you to the Circle Interchange, that's the Kwame Nkrumah Interchange, where some maintenance work is currently ongoing. Stay tuned in. Thanks for staying with us. Now, Keros Galvao, the construction firm which worked on the Kwame Nkrumah Interchange, has begun some maintenance work on the structure. Potholes that have developed around the interchange are currently being patched among other repair works. Joy News' Beatrice Edu was at the Nkrumah Interchange and filed this report.
So it's been almost a week since Joy News was at this site at Circle around the overpass and reported about the pothole. As you can see in the background, the engineers are working on it right now. They are almost filling the pothole, not be seen completely, and you can see that work is currently ongoing. The place was cordoned off, as you can see, and right now they are trying to fix it. I've been speaking to some of the traders here, and they tell me that from last week until yesterday, nothing had been done, but as you can see, they are working on it right now. None of the engineers on site want to talk to us. They've referred us to their office to get information regarding what actually happened and what they are doing about this and how long it's probably going to take until the entire road is opened for pedestrians and drivers. I just moved to the Jinyame Suhum in Sauhem bus station, which is just right by this pothole that is being fixed. I have one of the drivers here with me. His name is Mr. Mensa. What's your full name, sir?
Yeah, Abraham Mensa.
Great. So you've been a driver here for some time. Since when did you notice the pothole which is being fixed now?
Oh, sometimes when we are coming, it's as affected us, or there's more traffic there. But when you are in the road or you just park anyhow, but policemen are coming, they say we arrest. So you have effect.
So were there times that some drivers nearly had accidents because of it?
Oh, that one, please, I can't tell, but I know that it's affected us.
They've started fixing it?
Yes, yeah, I know. But one of sometimes the workers, what they are, usually they work small time, they just leave it.
You think they are not doing a good job?
No.
So what do you expect?
We are expecting that they must continue to do the work earlier, so that the place is very small. The place is very small. So if they are doing the work, they must continue to do the work earlier. Yeah, they're doing it well. When you are facing the place is very small. But they should not leave it like that. They should not leave it like that, so they should do it earlier.
Now, the trial of Aisha Wang has been put on hold as lawyers on both sides are protesting the choice of interpreter. A Chinese national who is a graduate of the Ghana School of Law has been brought in to interpret. The DPP says they will prefer a Ghanaian interpreter, while lawyers for Aisha share a similar concern, adding they need to know more about him. Joseph Akable was in court for Joy News and he's joined us now. So, Joseph, what happened at the court today?
Well, so Daniel, the expectation was that a Chinese interpreter will be coming in to assist the court to enable proceedings to commence. In fact, at the previous hearing, the concern of the judge was that since they were doing justice, it was appropriate that you assist all accused persons communicate efficiently in a language they were comfortable with communicating. But as the hearing started, the gentleman who was introduced was one young Chin York who was, as said, like pointed out, as a graduate of the Ghana School of Law, waiting to be called to the bar shortly. Now, the whole bit about the protest started when lawyers for the 5 accused persons, led by Bernard already raised a concern about the fact that the gentleman in question was not known to them, for which they required further information. The Director of Public Prosecution then stood up. She led prosecution today and informed the court that indeed the gentleman involved was a Chinese nationals who had just graduated from the Ghana School of Law and are waiting to be called to the bar, and that they themselves were concerned about whether he will be interpreting the law merely as an interpreter or as someone who is just coming to tell the court with peace of mind in terms of what is being said in the court, rather than someone who has an understanding of the law which could influence the kind of assistance he gives to the court. The judge listened to both sides. I said that he has no reason to doubt the integrity of the gentleman, but since lawyers on both sides seem to agree on the fact that he needs to be changed, that should be done. He therefore directed the director, the chief interpreter, I must say, to provide the court with a Ghanaian who is competent in Chinese and can assist the court in that regard.
So when is this new interpreter expected to join the case?
The new interpreter is expected to come in on July 21. In fact, what was on the table of the court today was that 3 Ghanaian witnesses who are to assist prosecution were to be introduced. So once that interpreter is got on July 21, we can first expect the facts of the case to be read. That is when the 5 nationals, their plea will be entered as to whether they are guilty or not guilty, after which the 3 witnesses by the state will be called into the box to enable proceedings commence in terms of the trial proper.
So who brought in this Chinese interpreter, since both sides of the case are unsatisfied with him?
Come again, Daniel.
I'm saying that how was this Chinese interpreter introduced to the case? Was he brought by any of the sides?
Hello, Daniel. I can't hear you very well.
Right, Joseph, if you can hear me, I was asking if we know how this Chinese interpreter was introduced to the case.
Yes, the process is that the chief interpreter, in this case, Nathaniel Kakari, he is the chief interpreter for the judicial service. So in the event there is a need for the state to call for an interpreter, whether it's Arabic, whether it's Gan, whether it is Dagbani, whatever language it is, the chief interpreter for the judicial service is informed officially, and he picks the interpreter from the pool and brings to the state. So this interpreter was brought in by the chief interpreter for the judicial service. And in fact, we understand that he has been providing some services at the Supreme Court in some cases that requires such interpretation. So it's not the first time he's playing the role of the interpreter for the judicial service, Daniel.
Right, thank you, Joseph Akable, for that report. Now, he's my correspondent in the court. Now, moving on, in February last year, Joy News' Upper East Regional Correspondent Albert Sori reported the deplorable conditions under which children at the Azudone Primary School in Sirigu in the Katsina-Nankana West District were having lessons. At the time, authorities of the school told Joy News that 2 of the kindergarten pupils had died of suspected pneumonia after being exposed to too much cold while studying under a tree. As part of Joy News' agenda on the deplorable state of some basic schools across the country, Albert Sori returned to that primary school in Sirigu to find out if anything had changed since we first reported about the school over a year ago.
Okay, number 3. How many triangles are here? Yes, Kadri. Count.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Very good. How many are there?
6.
Good. Who can come and write the 6 for us?
Here at the Azudone Primary School at Sirigu in the Katsina-Nankana West District of the Upper East Region, this combined class of KG and Primary 1 and 2 pupils are having lessons for the first time this week. Their lessons on Monday were disrupted by rain because their classroom is under the sunshade of this thorny tree on their school compound. Their teacher, Laurentia Asa, has a difficult task teaching 3 combined classes of infant minds under this tree.
It's very difficult for us to teach under a tree like this. And then being one teacher controlling 3 classes is very difficult. And then more to the point, under a tree, whenever it rains during this rainy season, it's very hard. So it even affects our academics. Teaching and learning is always very hard. It's very difficult for the children to understand whatever that we are doing. And even being outside like this, as you can see, this is the road. People may be passing, and then people may be doing some things, and then the children will lose concentration of what we are doing. So they will be looking elsewhere.
There are about 30 children in this class, and a brilliant 8-year-old Alice Ayangba sits among them with big dreams for the future.
This is my school. We are suffering. Government, help us.
Away from this classroom under the tree is a mud structure that serves as a classroom block for classes 3 to 5. A recent rainstorm ripped off the roof of one of the classrooms, which has created this congestion in the school.
This school is not very good for us. The class is not very big for us. So we don't feel comfortable in this class. So we want the government to come and build it for us.
Our school is not good for us. The classroom is small for us. We want government to come and build a nice structure for us.
Even in this shelter, lessons often come to an abrupt end when the clouds begin to gather. School authorities fear the building could collapse if there is a storm.
If it is rainy season, we forced to go home because we don't know the school will fall with this mad building, so we have to go home. It is not good for us.
Not much has changed since I visited this school more than a year ago, but there is something striking here. World Vision has built 2 toilets and installed a water facility. I asked the headmaster of the Azudone Primary School, Dominic Akubase, if the toilet is the most critical need of the school.
The last time you came here, up to now, we have not seen any different thing yet. Except that this NGO World Vision that came to our aid, and they gave us this toilets. That's all about it.
So, didn't you tell them that you needed the classrooms more than the toilets?
Yeah, we told them, but they said they are after sanitation. They are on to toilets. They are not putting up classrooms. And that if we want, we can let this assembly do that for us.
One of the compartments within this toilet facility has not been put to use and rather has been converted into a storeroom for keeping teaching and learning materials because there is no office for the headmaster and his staff.
Because of the rainy season, we can't keep our books outside. And at the houses around that, we use one of the rooms as our store. It's far, so we decided to keep it in one of the toilets.
Schools in rural areas like this have critical infrastructural issues which require deliberate investment to solve. For Joy News, Albert Sori, reporting from Serego.
Count the number 4 for us.
Right, let's take you live now to Pantang because we understand the Health Minister, Kweku Agyemang-Manu, is on his way there to address some of the issues being raised. Maxwell Agbagba is back with us. Maxwell, what has changed about the situation there in Pantang?
Daniel, if you could hear it clearly, you're asking what the situation is like here on the ground. Well, the demonstrators returned from the demonstration about an hour, ago. So 30 minutes past, we had lots of them, seated here, singing, dancing, drumming. Some of them who couldn't take part in the activities here.
Right, Maxwell, the demonstrators behind you are making it difficult for us to hear you. So please move a bit away from there so we can hear what you're saying.
Okay. Is it okay now?
It can still be better, Maxwell.
Okay. Yeah, so I was just telling you that the demonstrators returned, some minutes ago, about 30 minutes ago. In fact, they all converged at this place, but some of them have moved away. Earlier, we had an indication that the minister was not going to come. We were told that it was the public relations officer who will be addressing these nurses. But later on, we got another information that the Minister of Health himself would be here. So as it stands right now, some of the people who took part in the demonstration are heading to the other part, of this compound. We are told that the minister will be touring the encroached, lands. So what you are seeing in the background now is just about, a half or 1/3 of the people who took part, in the demonstration. What is happening now is that some of them have moved to the other part of this facility where we are told the minister will be touring the enclosed land. But the singing and dancing that you can hear in the background, continued even after the demonstration itself happened. Now, sometime around 11 a.m., I must say, we had a director himself, Kwame, coming here to this hospital to come and plead on the staff who were around, who were taking care of the emergency cases. That is to attend some of the people will be reporting here at the outpatient department. But after he left, we went back to the old state, to what we witnessed on Monday. So basically, the nurses here who were left behind were not taking care, of the patients who were reporting here, even after that plea from the director himself, Kwame. In fact, I had interaction with a woman who came all the way from the Bronga region, and she said her relative, her daughter actually, was not feeling well, so she was called to come. In fact, she slept there with her daughter, and she suffered some attacks, from her daughter. So the right thing for her to do was to bring her to the Pantan, psychiatric hospital. But they came here today, and they didn't get any medical attention. The woman could not control her emotions. In fact, she shed a lot of tears, and she had to move. In fact, they left about 45 minutes ago. There was another man who came here to get medication for his son, who is also mentally unstable. He also did not get any medication for his son, and they had to leave. So that is the situation right now. Even though we are getting intervention from, the management who are, telling these nurses to compromise on their stance, it looks like these nurses are not heeded, to their plea. So here at the outpatient, department, this is what, is happening. They're just singing, dancing, and they're not heeding anybody's plea at this point.
Right. Thank you very much, Maxwell Agbagba, for that report. Stay tuned to Joy News as we bring you whatever happens at the Pantan Psychiatric Hospital throughout today.